I'm Jasmine. Hi guys, I'm Jasmine Singletary. This is Tall Girl Diaries, and by the end of this video, you'll be on your way to pursuing a real modeling career in as little as 3 weeks. So stay tuned. Welcome to my channel, the #1 resource for tall woman content on YouTube, or at least that's the plan. This is my first video, guys, so please consider giving this video a like and subscribing. So I've been modeling for 7 years, modeling in fashion shows in London, Paris, Milan, New York, and was featured in British Vogue. So please believe me when I tell you, don't wait until the perfect moment to start. Perfection is a myth, and it's actually super easy to get started. And in this video, I'll be covering 6 tips you can begin right now to start your modeling journey. Let's jump in. Number 1, diet and exercise. I started my modeling journey a little late compared to other models, and that's because I had some stubborn baby fat I had to get rid of first. Over 1 year, I lost 40 pounds, or 18 kilos. I'll share my weight loss tips and what I eat in a day as a model in future videos, so subscribe for those. Dieting to be a model isn't some binge, intermediate, trend, fast. It's a full-time job. Modeling jobs can come up at a drop of a dime, so you won't have time to suddenly lose weight if you need to. Make a habit of eating smart by constantly being in a state of calorie deficiency or weight maintenance. Personally, I use the free app MyFitnessPal to track my daily calorie intake and calculate the max amount of calories I can eat in a day to stay in line with whatever my fitness goal is. Where eating stops, exercise comes in. Now, if you're anything like me with a really busy schedule and just you don't have time for an hour in the gym, personally, I recommend the fitness program T25. I'm not being sponsored to say this, but it's so good, I just can't resist. It's only 25-minute workouts, and the intensity is pretty high, but it's only 25 minutes, right? Remember, guys, models are paid to keep their body in top shape. Tip number 2, your portfolio. A model's portfolio, or model's book, is essentially your visual modeling resume, showcasing a series of photographs taken professionally that show the variety of work you can do as a model. They'll display a variety of styles and looks within the genre you're aiming for. You have high fashion runway, commercial modeling, fitness, beauty and glamour, plus size, swimsuit, and lingerie. I'll be posting a video about the different genres in which you should work in based on your looks, so stay tuned for that. Your portfolio gets submitted to clients and you bring it with you to castings. It's almost impossible to be put forward for a job, as potential agents and casting directors will want to see what you can do before offering you paid work. Now, if you're just starting off, you'll need these basic shots to get started: a full-length body shot, waist up, profile, and most importantly, your headshot. Your modeling portfolio is the most important piece of modeling marketing you have, and it will directly influence how much work you get. So a lot of new models often think they need to start off paying lots of money getting them professionally done before approaching a modeling agency, and that's just not true. Which brings me to tip number 3. But first, if you're liking the video, please consider clicking that like button. Thanks. Tip number 3, TFP, or time for print. And it's when a team, generally a photographer and a model, collaborate for free and you'll get the images without having to pay. And sometimes you can even organize for a hairstylist and a makeup artist to be there. Now, sounds too good to be true? Well, it kind of is and it kind of isn't. Firstly, where you can find TFP opportunities will depend on where you live. So if you live in the US, I highly recommend Model Mayhem. You'll find the link in the description below. If you live in Australia, where I currently live, England, or the US, I recommend Star Now. Now, they have a free version, but I paid for the standard membership, which is 6 months for $30, but it's already paid itself off based on the work I've gotten. Now the but, since the team is essentially made of people willing to work for free, you'll most likely be working with amateurs. So you may not get the greatest pool of photographers to work with. They may not be knowledgeable about how to direct you as a model for posing and your angles. And you will still get the photos for free, but they may not be edited. However, this is still the easiest and fastest ways to start getting images. When I started, I did tons of TFP shoots and I didn't pay a cent for a professional photographer. The photos at the beginning were a little bad, but they got better as I kept doing them. Another way of getting those beginning shots is by joining a mother agency or enrolling in a modeling class. A mother agency is usually a small, local agency that you first sign with to help you get started with your portfolio, casting calls, model development courses, booking jobs, and sometimes will help you get scouted by those bigger agencies. I recommend reaching out to local modeling agencies in your area. But another option is models.com. Models.com has a great selection of reputable modeling agencies, which you can search based on country and city, and gives you a short description on each agency and some reviews. Now, another consideration is enrolling in a modeling class. Now, I get that question a lot from beginners. Truthfully, most of the modeling classes online these days are more of a money grab that cost you a lot and teach you a little about realistic skills needed by professional models. One secret tip I'll give you is if you're going to enroll in anything, enroll in a basic acting class. Modeling is acting, whether you're shooting for a catalog or modeling in a commercial. When you're in front of the camera, you're putting on a character. So a basic acting class could help you nail the feeling and vibe and atmosphere being portrayed through a scene. If you're tall like me and looking to do runway, that means 5'10" or 5'11" in larger markets like New York or London, or 5 feet and above for smaller markets. I'd recommend finding a runway coach, someone who's going to help you nail the runway like the pros. Personally, I did a couple of modeling classes myself, not all of which I found helpful. What helped me the most and my personal recommendation is this next tip. But one piece of advice, if you're considering either of these routes, is to be wary of possible scams. If you're going to get scammed in the modeling industry, it will most likely be now, when you're a beginner and you don't know what's standard. Always check website reviews, maybe attend some of the events they're holding to see if they're good quality, and if you're outgoing enough, possibly reach out to some of the listed models in the agencies or previous participants and ask for a recommendation. Tip number 5, experience. By experience, I mean jumping right in. Search for fashion shows and modeling jobs in your area and just start working. The primary way I found fashion shows at the beginning when I was still living in the US was Facebook events and Eventbrite. Pre-COVID, to be honest, but we're getting back into it. Search for casting calls in your area, apply to modeling jobs, and reach out to event coordinators to see if you can participate in their productions. Let me say something super important. Most of the work I did at the beginning was for free. Now, you may be lucky enough to get scouted right away and them actually book you work, and not just feature your face on their website. However, for most people, modeling won't pay you off right at the beginning, and it may actually cost you, in makeup and shoes and classes and transport. But what you do get paid in is experience and exposure and practice and photos and networking opportunities, and the list goes on. And once you have a banging portfolio, references behind you, and strong modeling skills, paid work will come. You'll become a model people want to work with. Talk about people wanting to work with you brings me to my last tip, social media. In the days of Instagram models, it may seem super appealing to post super sexy photos or more controversial, trendy ones, but before you do, don't. Or maybe do, if that will appeal to the audience you want to work with. When you're applying to castings and jobs, many people will ask you to provide your social media handles. That's because they may want to see more of you before they decide to book you. If your top 5 photos are risque, super sexy lingerie photos, and you're applying for a high fashion runway gig, you may not get that job. On the flip side though, if you were looking for a job in the swimwear and lingerie industry, those photos would help you attract that type of work and book gigs. According to researchers, within the first 7 seconds of meeting you, people make strong impressions of who you are. Now, in IG terms, that may be 1 or 2 scrolls. Everything you post should speak to yourself, brand, and be in line with the type of work you want to get.
2,000 years later.
So those are my 6 tips for becoming a model in 3 weeks. If you liked the video, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you have any personal modeling questions you'd like answered by an experienced model, leave a comment below and I'll reply to each one. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. This is Tall Girl Diaries signing out.